Hey, what's going on? I'm going to share with you the two things that made my healing journey possible. There was many, but when I was really down in the dumps, if it wasn't for these two things, I wouldn't have been able to continue on my healing journey and get to where I am today. So in 2014, after attempting to take my life, an Archangel Michael appeared. Years after that, I still didn't want to be here. I started having out of body experiences. I started to remember how amazing it felt to be a soul on the other side. And it just made me question even more why I would come here. I really didn't want to be here. And for years, I just went through the motions of everyday life because I knew that suicide was no longer an option for me, because my guides and angels showed me where I would go in the afterlife if I took my own life. So suicide is no longer an option for me. And in 2014, 15, 16, when I was really down in the dumps, if it wasn't for me knowing where I'd go, I wouldn't be here. One thing that I'd like to say to anyone out there that's really struggling in this life is to just ask yourself, how convinced are you that you know what happens on the other side? Then just know that opening up my heart has been my number one priority for a reason. You know, I attempted to take my life in 2014 because I convinced myself. There was many reasons, but one of them was that I convinced myself that I could not heal. I felt this hole in my chest when my mom passed away right before my son was born, and I lost faith in my God, and I was showing all these things that I was lied to about who my grandparents were, and it was like my whole life came crashing down. I had a spiritual awakening that, I just wasn't pleased with who I was. All these things, and I convinced myself that healing wasn't possible. So even though I didn't want to be here, I knew suicide wasn't an option, but I also had this belief that healing wasn't possible. But if it wasn't for this belief or this awareness of where I would go on the other side, I wouldn't have been able to continue to go on and eventually learn to heal. So that was the first thing. So just know that opening up your heart is the number one most important thing we can do in this life. Now, once you come to the realization that ending your life is no longer an option, what do you do when you feel that you're trapped and you have no way out? Well, the thing is, we need to realize that we are water. The majority of our body's water. Water's programmable, and we program ourselves with our thoughts. Now, if you're depressed, you've been running a lot of shitty thoughts through your head a long time, and you've been programming yourself into a certain vibration. Okay? You want to get yourself out of that vibration, you have to change the story in your head. Now, you have to do that with affirmations. However, when I started working with shamans, energy healers, started watching countless hours of spiritual teachers on YouTube, I was shown the power of affirmations. However, when it came to me saying things like, I'm so grateful for this life, it made me want to vomit. I would have to be sarcastic when I said it. I'd be like, I'm so grateful for this life. It just didn't resonate, right? So the one thing that I had to do was I had to start finding things that I was legitimately grateful for. And for me at the time, I just lost both my dogs last year, but for the majority of my healing journey, they were alive, and I would just focus on how much I loved them and how grateful I was for them to be in my life. And that felt legit. So if you're struggling to open up your heart in this incarnation, start making a list every single day of the things you were genuinely grateful for, whether it was a dog in your past life, whether it was a situation with a romantic partner that you had in the past. It doesn't even have to be going today. If you're just grateful for experiences you've had in your life, write them down. Anything you're grateful for, write them down, and just continuously read them and change your focus and watch over time. In 2014, if you were to get me to say that I'm grateful for this life, it would have made me want to vomit. Today, I can, I'm not 100% healed on this. I still remember my guides and angels saying shit that, convinced me to come down here. And, I'm still a little ticked off at them. However, in this day and age, I can say I am grateful for this life for certain things and actually mean it. Whereas in 2014, 15, it just all made me want to vomit. So start with things that you are actually grateful for, and it'll become easier over time. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.